I'm going to kick things off with you, Cathie, because Trump says new action today, promises new action regarding immigration. He says the we've heard, of course, that technology has been pretty against this travel ban, 120 companies signing that legal document. How damaging is it to the companies that you invest in, Facebook, Amazon and the like?
Well, as we look at the technology sector, we're actually, believe it or not, somewhat encouraged by some of the behind-the-scenes activity. We think that H-1B visas are going to go up 30% per year. So I think that first roundtable that President Trump had with the technology leaders started to seep in. They're talking about really needing high-end talent, and they're going to allocate the H-1B visas towards the higher end. So we think that President Trump, believe it or not, is listening to some of what they've said.
Wow, an optimistic Cathie Wood there, Cory.
Sort of. She gave it like a believe it or not and a sort of. I was really struck by the decision by the 9th District Court here in San Francisco.
You broke it yesterday.
When in the news cross, I happened to be in the air when it happened. And but when I read the decision, it was very interesting because one of the things the judges said was that the White House's current interpretation of its own order was different than its original interpretation.
Yeah.
And the court, therefore, wasn't certain that tomorrow or next week there would be yet another interpretation of this ban on immigration. So I think that it applies to business, right? It applies to tax breaks. It applies to a repatriation of cash. It applies to economic stimulus because the 140-character nature of this president and of this presidency thus far suggests to us that the devil's in the details, and when we try to find out what these policies are actually going to look like, we don't know. So the stock market has reacted as if they're all going to be positive, there will be no negatives, and that they will be clear. But what we've seen so far from this presidency is that, in fact, there are some negatives. Of course, there's always some negatives. There's always some give and take. But also that maybe the things won't be that clear, and the interpretation of these things won't be clear. The market doesn't think so yet, but the market's a little bit of a leading indicator of optimism right now.
Cathie, talk to us about that optimism, whether you stand by it as well. We've got record highs across all three key benchmarks. You at Ark as CEO, but as well as CIO, are you thinking that perhaps the tax elements, the promises that we've had dangled in front of us this Friday could help?
Yes, very much so. I think tax reform, the market's been crying out for it. We haven't had capital spending growth in many, many years. And I think that's one thing that President Trump is going to encourage. I think we're going to see huge productivity growth, huge unit growth. I also think that's what is misunderstood is President Trump is really focused on the U.S. as an innovator. His first roundtable was a tech roundtable. Elon Musk was there. Second was a manufacturing roundtable. Elon Musk was there. Third, curiously, was an auto roundtable. Elon Musk wasn't there. But I really do think he's focused on innovation, which is all that Ark does, disruptive innovation. So we're very, very focused on what he's doing there.